Welcome, friends. Feel welcome to type into the chat roll where you're dialing in from. Say hello. This is a beautiful community. I'm so glad we get to have a little dance party together. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We got Amsterdam, we got Utah, we've got Ireland, we've got Bali, we've got San Francisco, we've got Australia, we've got California, Montana, Seattle, Utah, awesome, Hawaii, Transylvania, New York, Sebastopol, California, Calgary, Texas, representing, Canada, Maryland, North Carolina, Tennessee, England. Awesome, you guys. Welcome, welcome. Official warm welcome to all our beautiful friends. The year of the Fire Horse. I'm so excited to see all these beautiful friends. We've got long-time old friends here. We've got some new friends. I just recovered from a big cough to drink water to make sure my voice can make it the rest of this call. Let's all stand up nice and tall. Bounce in place. Take a deep breath and reflect on the beautiful gifts of 2025. The year of the wood snake. The wood element represents expansion, so take a moment to feel into all the expansion that you tapped into in 2025. And take a moment to reflect on all the old shedding of the old snake skin that you did in 2025. As you shake loose from head to toe, take a few deep breaths to tap into this gratitude and appreciation for all the gifts and blessings of your 2025. As you stand up nice and tall, please sweep your arms. Reach up into the heavens. Open yourself to be a conduit of the purest and most beautiful blessings from head to toe. Let's take 2 more passes, holding the intention that in today's gathering, all of us tap into the beautiful wisdom that we came here for. Honoring and celebrating the transition energy from the wood snake to the fire horse. Celebrating the new spaciousness that we created with the 2025 energy, the shedding of the old, the expansion into new clarity and spaciousness. One final pass. And permit yourself to open to the fire horse energy and attune your circuitry. Attune your energy systems from head to toe to work together synergistically with this accelerating new energy of the fire horse. Perfect. At the end of this next pass, place your hands crisscross over your belly center, please. Shift your body weight in such a way that you become aware. Boom! Where is your physical center of gravity? This is one of the major themes of 2026. This rapidly transformational energy of 2026, the Fire Horse energy, will sweep us away and constantly challenge us, potentially throw us off our center. You can choose to be thrown off your center, or you can choose to turn all of this into a strengthening experience of locking deeper and deeper and deeper into your center. So become aware of your physical center of gravity. Shift your body weight left, right, front, and center, and breathe deeply with your belly. Who are you if everything in the world is changing so fast that it's dizzying? Who are you if energies are shifting, everything is accelerating around you, and yet you're completely still and centered in your being? As you continue to breathe with your belly center, see, sense, feel yourself as a high-performance athlete that can do incredible feats that defy logic because you're tapped into this perpetual presence and flow state. Who are you if your relationship with time shifts completely out of linear, logical time-space experience into a non-linear experience through your quality of beingness and presence? This accelerating, rapidly transformational energy is gonna call upon all of us to practice these simple, seemingly so basic, these things of breathing deeply with our belly. But this is the year that it becomes absolutely non-optional. Meditation isn't something we will do just to de-stress from time to time. This is the PhD year, where meditative state, stillness, centeredness, groundedness becomes necessary as our default natural state 24/7, 365. Perfect. Take one more deep belly breath together. Good. Now become aware of your hips, your thighs, your knees, your shins, your calves, your ankles, your feet. Wiggle your toes and root deeper and deeper and deeper into the earth. Take 3 deep breaths as you root deeper and deeper into the earth and become aware that the superficial mental levels of things will jerk your attention around all throughout this upcoming year, and yet you get to practice rooting, centering deeper and deeper. The world will tell you a lot of things. All kinds of news will pop up, yanking our attention in different direction. Who are you as you root deeper and deeper and deeper and attune and align yourself with the wisdom of Mother Nature, Mother Earth? Who are you if instead of watching whatever mainstream media news or even alternative news, instead of checking that news, check this news as you breathe, meditate, root deeply with your feet, and tune into not the superficial levels of things, but the deeper energetics at play. Look past the superficial headlines. Go deep into the energetic roots of things. Take a deep breath in. Rooting deeply and deep breath out. Imagine yourself as if your favorite tree, like a sequoia tree or a redwood tree or an oak tree, root deeper and wider and deeper and wider and deeper and wider. And then take 3 more deep breaths to drink of this wisdom, this nurturing energy. Deep breath in, drink of this energy, and deep breath out. Allow it to expand through your being and become the dominating energy of your energy field. Take another deep breath in, deep breath out. Infuse it into your energy field. One more time, deep breath in, drink of Mother Nature's wisdom. Drink of your interconnectedness with all the sentient life in this earth realm, and deep breath out. Expand into every nook and cranny of your being. Good. Now imagine yourself once again as a huge, majestic tree. Feel that. Feel that the world can be chaotic, changing all around you, and you are centered, rooted, and grounded in this way. What kind of year will you choose to create from this state? As you come back to your belly center, notice that you're automatically, naturally breathing deeply with your belly. And as you come up to your heart level, place your hands over your heart center. The fire element in Chinese medicine is associated with the heart. So in today's gathering, we'll go deep into contemplating what this is about. What is the heart's energy all about? What is the fire element all about? What is this fire of love, passion, and wisdom that brews in your heart and can be emanated out and become the dominating energy, the theme of this year for you? Let's take a few more deep breaths with your hands over your heart center. Allow your heart to radiate its love and wisdom out so fiercely, so strongly from the center that it floats your hands off of your chest, off of your sternum. And this energy emanates and emanates and emanates and becomes the dominating energy now of your energy bubble. Take 3 more deep breaths and meditate on this fiery energy of your heart and how it has the transformational power to literally incinerate anything that is not congruent with your love, your wisdom. Continuing to breathe centered in your heart, contemplating the mechanics of creation and manifestation. How we create and manifest, starting with the heart's love, wisdom, and the desire that arises out from our truest, deepest, most authentic self. Completely independent of old limitation programmings, old societal ideations. Your truest, deepest, most authentic self arises from your heart and inspires you with your heart's love, wisdom, and desires. So for this year, especially with the Fire Horse energy, where there's a lot of potential for activity, before we take action to attune here first, the sequence matters deeply this year. Understanding the order of creation, the sequencing of how manifestation unfolds, starting here is going to become mission critical for this year. Take one more deep breath to allow the heart's love, wisdom, and desires to amplify and show itself and show itself and show itself, and allow some of this love, this light, this wisdom to go bing up into your face, into your head, and illuminating your headspace. Take a deep breath. Allow your headspace to glow brighter and stronger and brighter and stronger in a way that is congruent with the heart's love, beauty, wisdom. Let your heart's desire rise up and infuse your headspace with beautiful thoughts. Your attention, your intention congruent with your heart's truest, deepest desires. Infused with the fiery passion of your heart, it becomes so clear. When you are entertaining thoughts, ideas, old limitation programs that are not congruent with your true heart's desire, it incinerates automatically. There's no space for that in your life anymore. It's so easy with this accelerated energy to identify the thought programs, the limitation programs, the things that try to tug at our attention. It becomes easy, it's extra obvious this year to know, yeah, that's not for me. Those are old lies, old programs. I don't need to entertain those anymore. The contrast is going to be so huge. And if we do choose to entertain those old limitation programs, it will blow up in our face very fast. Everything's going to be accelerated, amplified, extra obvious. What's going to work for you and what doesn't work for you, the contrast is going to be hugely amplified this year. So take a few more deep breaths as you attune to the congruence between your head space and your heart space. Sometimes it's helpful to place your tongue to the roof of your mouth so that the head and heart can enter into a coherent flow even more seamlessly. As we continue this meditation, this is not just theory, this is a practice of how to do being a human. How do we do life? Qigong practice isn't just for when you meditate to de-stress once in a while. This is a perpetual 24/7, 365 state that we're nurturing here. So draw back into your heart center and breathe this back into your belly now. Because the order of creation is your heart's love, wisdom, passions, desire arises, and it infuses your mind with where you want to focus your attention and intention. And then we bring it back into the heart and we feel the heart's passion again. And we allow our emotions to be energy in motion to fuel our projects, our desires. But ultimately, we do have to take it into action. So breathe this back down into your belly and embody it. Take 3 deep breaths to allow your heart's desires and passions to be also embodied in your quality of beingness. Who are you when you can walk into a space and embody the creation that you are desiring? And through your embodiment, it gives everybody else permission to also feel confident that what we're creating is already here. The beautiful world, the beautiful solutions, your goals, your passions, your dreams embodied through your belly, through your quality of beingness. And then further breathe it into your hips, your thighs, your knees, your calves, your shins, your ankles, your feet, and root this into the physical earth reality. rooted in. So from head to toe, across all dimensions, there's congruence across it all these layers and levels is integrated. You're not bullshitting yourself. Feel that your head, your heart, your belly, your legs, hips, thighs, all the way into the feet, into the earth. The expression of your true self and the expression of your heart's desire embodied in this way. And then now let's come back up, and from your heart center emanate this energy into your hands. Feel the pulsation of energies in your hands and feel the refinement of your capacity to see, sense, feel, know things through touch, and also to be able to emanate colors, lights, sounds, frequencies, energy patterns, geometries through your hands. Infuse and imbue this energy into all of your projects and creations. See yourself in this year of the Fire Horse. Be so precise, conscious, and intentional in your creations, and using your hands to create, take actions, your actions and behaviors, infusing in these precise frequencies. The integration of your heart's desire, your attention, your intention, your emotions, your quality of beingness, the way you embody it, all of it, bring this quality of beingness into your doingness, into your actions and behaviors. 2026 is the year of exponential creativity, fierce wisdom, and integrated action. Not just one or the other, all of these together. Please take 3 more deep breaths to contemplate the integration of all the levels and layers of this in your life. Head, heart, belly, hands, feet, all the levels. And now from your heart's fiery wisdom, take 1 more deep breath and amplify this into your entire energy bubble. We'll finish with 10 deep breaths because 2026 adds up to 10. Let's do 10 to celebrate. Ready? Deep breath in, deep breath out. Beautiful breath in, and beautiful breath out. Please breathe at your own perfect pace, using each and every breath to integrate all the layers and levels and dimensions of your being. Contemplating this energy of exponential creativity flowing through you in this year. This expression of your heart's fierce wisdom throughout this year. And most importantly, how will you take integrated action this year? Not action where you're just throwing darts, trying different things. Actions that's integrated with your heart's desire, your attention, your intention, your emotions, your quality of beingness. Bring your quality of beingness into all of your doingness. Can you challenge yourself this year to hold this integrated state, which is your natural default state, 24/7, 365? Take a deep breath in and deep breath out. Integrated action, deeply in, deeply out. Beautiful. Let's take 2 more. And last one, deep, juicy breath in and gently pause. And relax. Release, 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 and relax. As your breath gently rises and falls, we become once again aware of the heart going bing, so bright, luminous, and burning with passion, love, desire, that emanates out from the heart so strongly that it is the dominating energy of your entire energy field. It is your 24/7, 365 default natural state, where anything that's congruent with your heart's passion, love, truest desire gets amplified, supported. Anything that's not that gets burnt, incinerated. And we become aware of, bing, the illumination of our mind, so bright, spacious, and clear. We're very clear about where we focus our attention and our intention. And it's so obvious to us that we almost giggle in laughter when the world tries to tempt us with distraction this year. We're so clear, nope, that's not for me. Yes, that is for me. Our yeses and nos are crystalline clear now. Head and heart congruent and breathing into your belly, embodied in your physicality. Feel your physiology so strong, so stable. Feel yourself like an elite athlete, a martial artist, a professional dancer, embodying this quality of beingness, rooting into your feet, living this life in congruence with Mother Nature's wisdom, supported by her at all times. And bringing all of this energy through our heart into our hands, infusing all our projects and creations with this integrated energy. Head, heart, belly, hands, feet as our perpetual natural default state, 24/7, 365. Our energy bubbles so clear, so bright, so stable. Reflecting on how an old version of ourselves used to get our boundaries crossed, or we had leaky energy, we get entangled in unnecessary drama. No more. That was an old version of ourselves. This is the year of exponential creativity, fierce wisdom, integrated action. So feel this in your energy field. Feel your energy bubble so stable, so clear and so bright. Head, heart, belly, hands, feet, energy field, stable and bright. Stand up nice and tall. Once more, sweep your arms. Come through from head to toe. Feeling yourself congruent, integrated from head to toe. Now place one hand over the heart, one hand over the belly. Gently come back to the room. Welcome back. So, in a telepathic way, The entire slideshow I presented was already transmitted because we all set up our circuitry for all the information to come through. But as a formality, I'm going to go ahead and share screen and invite you to take this energy transmission and encoding that just took place right now to bring it into your more conscious awareness, and is going to express itself in a different way for each and every one of us. So if it feels right for you, take out a journal so that you can jot down insights as they arise. What I share is just going to be kind of like little portals, openings, but each and every one of us at this gathering will download through just the perfect wisdom and insights that is exactly what your high self is wanting to speak to you in this gathering. So I used to be a little bit more muted about the mechanics of what happens at these gatherings, but now you guys can handle it. I'll just straight up say that's what these gatherings are for. It's not about me telling you anything. It's about us gathering together to create an energy field where each of us can channel through the perfect wisdom that is meant for each of us to tap into at this moment. So do you notice that we spent about 40 minutes meditating, and you are in a completely different state? And imagine if I shared this slideshow in your state pre-meditation and this state now, how you will get an exponentially different, a whole different order of magnitude of wisdom and insights are flowing through you at this moment. And so I'm articulating this because this year, the world will pull us in so many different distracting directions. Our number one order of business is to maintain this kind of alignment, attunement, and meditative state. You're going to have a completely different experience of this year, depending on your inner cultivation. And you will probably have a completely different experience of this year than many of your friends and family, because depending on your inner attunement, you literally live in a different parallel reality experience of life. And so I just am not a big fan of unnecessary suffering. So that's why I prefer to set my circuitry up to have a more beautiful experience of life. Even though some people might say, wow, you're doing a 90-minute masterclass. You spent almost half of it to do this meditation. I didn't know I signed up for a meditation class. The reason for it is that we will have an exponentially different experience of the potency and power of what comes through if we attune our inner state of being first. And so this is something that I encourage all of us to consider in all of our projects and creations. The quality of beingness, the presence, the energy, alchemy, and the circuitry that you set up, and then you bring that into your actions and behaviors, is going to create a completely different set of results. So the mind will say like, oh, I just want to get to it and do the work. Well, the actions and behaviors will give you a very different kind of results depending on the quality of beingness that you bring into those actions and behaviors. And so this is the piece that I want all of us to just keep checking in with all throughout this year as the world starts to pull us in many different directions with many potential things tugging at our attention. So welcome to this beautiful community of advanced souls. This presentation is designed for advanced and evolved souls like you. It will probably make no sense to the average person out there in the world. But we've created a special energy field, so very special beings are being attracted into this field. So I think you guys will really appreciate the juice that we're going to bring into this conversation. This is also a presentation that is designed for people that are able to attune to the meditative state where you can handle nuance and paradox. So if you're still living in the mentality of an us versus them kind of mentality, or everything in life has to be black and white, this presentation is probably not going to feel very good for you, because we're going to tap into the subtle nuances of life and challenge ourselves to outgrow oversimplistic, black versus white thinking and us versus them kind of thinking in this time of transition that we're going through. So thank you for bringing your beautiful energies into this call. The format of this gathering that came through for me was let's meditate and celebrate. Let's sense into what the fire energy and the horse energy is all about. And then let's talk about the formula for success in this year. In previous New Year gatherings, I used to spend a lot of the energy, like half or most of the slides, talking about my quote unquote predictions for the new year. And we've done these 5 years in a row. And in previous ones, there was a lot of really great predictions that they came through really fast. And this year is the first one where I'm not going to make predictions because it's accelerated to the point where I am no longer able to predict. So I'm just going to skip that. And there's the general themes of the rapid transformation of the fire and the horse that I think we can all attune to. And what's a better use of our energies is times of intense and rapid change. What are the things that will help us be successful and adaptive to all of the intense and rapid changes? I think that's a far more fruitful use of our energy, to focus on that. So the meditation, I hope you guys enjoyed your meditation. I hope that you're feeling attuned and aligned and you're noticing wow, this is a more beautiful way of engaging with life in this state of being. Last year was the energy of the wood stake. So I invited you to contemplate during the meditation. What were some of the things that you outgrew last year? I know that this is a super, highly evolved, high performance bunch of people. And the trap is that we're always often moving to the next thing, seeking to improve ourselves, and we don't take time to celebrate and honor ourselves. So if you have a journal out, I want to invite you to just take a moment to consider what were some of the things that got stirred up to the surface in your life in the past year that you let go of, that is worth us honoring and celebrating. Actually, I don't know anybody that had a totally smooth sailing, easy 2025. We all went through big transformations last year. Specifically, what are top 3 things you'd like to celebrate? Gifts and blessings, achievements, manifestations, challenges overcome, initiations that you passed through. And what were 3 old patterns that you officially let go of? Old limitation programs, old resentments, non-forgivenesses that you finally chose to forgive. Because the work that you did in 2025 actually laid the foundation and created new freshness and spaciousness for all the beautiful creations to come in 2026. For me, on a personal front, a big highlight in 2025 was attending the very last ever dark room meditation retreat with Jasmuheen in Thailand. It's a really profound experience. And maybe it'll come up throughout our conversation, sprinkled in profound insights that came through that dark room meditation. It was an 11-day retreat with 9 days and 9 nights in complete darkness, and we did, as a group of 40 advanced meditators meditating in complete darkness together, we did a huge amount of energy grid stabilization work across the earth, and connecting the inner and outer, our heart's energy with our community, with our homes, connecting with the sacred grids across sacred lands, and there's just a general integration and stabilization across many dimensions and fields that happen. And those of you that are energetically attuned could probably feel those shifts happening. It's like the world seems to be changing so fast, but on an inner dimension, you feel so confident and stable, right? You're not so easily thrown off your center. Isn't it true? Compared to the old you, that is something to celebrate. And then another quite profound thing that unfolded in my own personal darkroom retreat experience was Jasmuheen guided this beautiful meditation. I think it was on day 7 or 8. It was towards the end of the 9 days and 9 nights in darkness. So we were really into a deep state by then. And I won't go into all the details of the meditation, but it included things that helped us to ignite our remembrance of who and what we are pre-incarnation, and our connection as a true essence, high self, connection to many different lifetimes, and the breathing back in and integration of the wisdom and gifts and abilities of different lifetimes, opening the flow of that to channel into this lifetime if it's helpful. And there was a phase of that meditation where she guided us back to source. And it was so beautiful. We did this very gentle, controlled calibration of our frequencies. So in circles like this, I know many of you guys have had mystical experiences, maybe NDEs, maybe plant medicine or psychedelic journeys, or you've had altered states in your past. And sometimes maybe it kind of like happened to you like a blast off. So for the first time, I had this experience of a very controlled backwards and forwards frequency calibration, back to remembering what it was like to reunite with source, but not quite. So this memory came back of like what it was like to barely just individuate from source, and the joy and excitement and delight of like, wow, I am like a representation. I'm both the ocean and the drop in the ocean at the same time, and what that feels like. And the excitement of like, I'm going to pretend to be just the drop of the ocean and not the whole ocean. And then go have an adventure as a drop of the ocean and learn from it and bring that wisdom back to source. That dance of like being completely at one with all of creation, but also individuated at the same time. And the joy and delight of having this mission of going out and adventuring and being an individuated point of consciousness to adventure, learn, and grow. I remembered what that felt like. And with that excitement, I experienced myself as an individuated, you can say point of consciousness, but it was like a multidimensional sphere. And I found myself sitting in this sphere, and because this is a fire year, I'm sharing this story, this sacred white flame that was brewing and burning and burning and burning and burning inside this sphere. So I don't know how much time transpired, but I'm sitting in this sacred white fire. And I experienced this white fire as an orb with this fire that is burning, and I'm sitting in basically a meditative position. And this orb is like a multi-dimensional Ferris wheel that's connected to all these lifetimes of expressions of the same essence. And so it's hard to use all the words to describe, but this connection and remembrance of the many different expressions that this lifetime in this embodiment is one of so many, to remember that and experience that, and to realize that they all feed off of each other and support and nurture each other. And the wisdom and insights and the learning and growth that happens in each and every expression, they're infusing into the other ones, and they're not truly separate. And I'm sitting in this white flame, and I'm realizing that in each and every lifetime, we have the opportunity to learn and grow a lot, but we also pick up all kinds of baggage and crud and like hardness. So I'm sitting in this sacred white fire, and it starts burning and burning and burning and burning and disintegrating all this crap. And I feel lighter and brighter and more expansive and lighter and brighter. And I had a few aches and pains going into the retreat, and they just all disappeared. After the meditation, Jasmuheen guides us to frequency match back very gently and gradually back into the physical. So it was this controlled frequency recalibration to go back into that state, and then this controlled frequency recalibration to come back to the physical reality as this particular embodiment. So I think that this is inspiring me to consider that maybe we're all evolving to a more subtle, nuanced, and matured level where we have these subtle abilities to control our frequency states and go back and forth in an integrated, matured way now. And when I came back into this physical body, it's like, wow, I feel so good and so fresh and so light. Like the best spa experience you could possibly imagine. When I went back to my room, I just felt this like desire to do some yoga stretches. I had used to have like a pretty significant yoga practice before having kids, and then the last decade having kids and birthing and nursing my hips and my pelvis, my body, co-sleeping with multiple kids, like kicking me in the face all night long. Like my body had just like gotten beaten down, and I couldn't do most of the very athletic vinyasa practices I used to do. I find myself in my room doing full splits, full back bend, full pigeon pose all the way to the ground. I can put my leg behind my head. You know that thing called the clock pose where you kick your leg like out to the side? All of these things. It just spontaneously completely shifted. And I was telling the story to a friend and colleague a couple days ago. He's like, so are you like really into yoga now again? And I said, no, actually, I don't feel the desire to practice much. He's like, can you still do a split? I'm like, I don't know. And boom, I got on the ground and could do splits both ways. And so I don't know if it's a permanent change, but sitting in that sacred white fire of disintegrating the crud that we carry in this lifetime, my high self told me, like, do the splits to prove that to yourself, that your physical reality can also shift that quickly just by shedding and letting go of the crud that you don't need to hang on to. So that was a very profound teaching for me in 2025. And I bet that all of you guys had something quite significant. It's like, wow, when I let go of that old crud, seeming miracles can just happen in a moment like that. And when I came back from the retreat, my family, we decided to do a special ceremony. I won't go into all the details of it, but we decided to write our gratitudes, love, and appreciation for one another and charge it into a flask of water and pour it into these plants that we keep nurturing as a family. And we wrote out our resentments and non-forgivenesses in pieces of paper. We didn't read those out loud, unlike the gratitudes and appreciations, because that's really just for ourselves. And we burnt it in a fire that we made. We consciously choose to just incinerate those and let those go. And after that ceremony, all kinds of beautiful blessings just like spontaneously came into our lives. And that's another beautiful example of what's possible if we just choose to let go of old resentments, those old blockages, and then create space for beauty, gifts and blessings and miracles to show up in our lives. So whatever those types of things that transpired in your life, I want to say cheers. Congratulations. Thank you for your courage to do the work that it took this past year to let go and shed those old things that you've outgrown and make space for the beauty and gifts to really come through this year. So with that said, the energy of the fire horse, and these are things that you guys already know, but it's good for us to sit as a group of soul friends together to contemplate this. The fire element represents intensity, passion, love, emotional depth. It's a fire that can transmute and transform things. It can also evolve things very fast, a lot of speed and momentum. It acts as an accelerant, a catalyst. It also represents the heart's love, the heart's wisdom, the heart's courage, leadership, so many things. It's a very potent energy this year. So this fire can be about our love and passion, and it can also represent inflammation and destruction. So it amplifies everything. Things that are aligned are going to be supported hugely and manifest in a shockingly fast, accelerated way. Things that are not aligned will lead to a lot of inflammation and discomfort and destruction. So, both the very, very good and supposedly the very, very difficult, challenging experiences could be possible this year. So the paradox is this: there will be so much temptation to feel rushed this year. And what is the antidote to that? Is the cultivation of deep inner stillness. In Chinese medicine, we have this idea that the heart fire's energy has to be balanced by the kidney water element. And so kidney water in Chinese medicine has to do with the stability and steadiness of our will. And the water element, which balances out the fire element, is going to be really important. So even though this is a fire year, your cultivation of the water is going to be equally important to create balance. And that's what people around you, organizations, friends, family, relationships, they're going to value you because there will be so much fire energy out there that if you can anchor in stability and that steadiness and that coolness of the water energy, that's going to be a treasure this year. People will say, wow, when I'm with him or her, there's so much chaos out there, but I always feel so calm and peaceful when I'm with them. I really treasure that. So that's going to bring tremendous value into whatever situation that you're in. In addition to that, because things will transform and transition so fast, our relationship with time, if you still operate from the old kind of logical linear relationship with time, basically it's just not going to work. It's going to, your old logical linear relationship with time is just going to become obsolete. So the only way to flow with this rapidly transformational energy is to live in a perpetual flow state. And flow state is defined in the flow state science research community as a state of being where there is a non-linear or dilated relationship with time. Either things happen really fast or really slow, but it doesn't feel like a logical linear experience of time. And the Greeks, you might be familiar with this, have this idea of kairos and chronos. Basically, a linear relationship with time and a non-linear relationship with time, right? Like chronos is like every unit of time is the same, whereas kairos is like this experience of like deep presence and flow. So for us to cultivate this deep presence and flow so that we can flow with the different dilations and non-linear relationship with time is going to be a huge theme for this year. And that's why meditation as our perpetual 24/7, 365 state of being, so that we live perpetually in the flow state, that's going to be the key theme for this whole year, and maybe from here on out, right? Like this is the pivotal point where as a humanity we leave the linear logical time-space experience of what it's like to be a human, and we officially catapult into a non-linear experience of life. This may be that year. The horse energy, of course, represents freedom and speed and independence and energy and strength, grace, endurance, also loyalty, ambition, progress, adventure. Maybe it's helpful, maybe not, but to consider, like, the last time we had fire and horse together was 1906 and 1966. 1906 was a time of the collapse of, like, at least on the superficial levels of things, the imperial collapse and into a different societal structuring. Einstein's theory of relativity had just been published in 1905, so there was a whole kind of scientific paradigm change that was happening. It was also a time when modern radio and broadcasting, electronics, air conditioning, there's mass electrification of the world, all that kind of stuff was just kickstarting in 1906. There was a famous book called The Jungle that stirred to the surface some really gnarly things that are happening in the food industry and the meatpacking industry. That was 1906. That got the masses in a mainstream way talking about more ethical approaches to the food industry and so on. And so Those are just some themes of Fire Horse energy that can stir up major social change. 1966 was, of course, Civil Rights Movement. That's when the Black Panthers started. There was Women's Lib. I know in our circles many of us have come full circle with some of these things. Feminist movement, Vietnam War. I believe Summer of Love was 1967, but it was like the precursor to all of that. And the ATM machine was officially invented in 1966, fiber optics. So there were a lot of really interesting paradigm-changing social movements and scientific breakthroughs that kicked into gear in the Fire Horse energy the last couple times. So all of us here can see that AI is starting to become a huge exponential force for wide-scale societal change that is happening right now. And at the same time, we're going through this intense inner consciousness shift. So the inner technology it's like that inflection point of exponential change is happening in the outer technology and in our inner technology at the same time this year. So it's going to be hard to predict what actually unfolds in societal changes and social movements and so on, but guaranteed there's going to be intense and profound, long-lasting change that kicks off this year of the Fire Horse. So as I shared earlier, I've literally given up on trying to actually make predictions, although I've had a good track record the last 5 years of making really, really good predictions. It's just a more fruitful use of our time to consider, in the face of this intense, rapid change, what are the themes that we can attune ourselves to? How do we set ourselves up for quote-unquote success? And in a group like this of advanced and evolved souls, I know that we define success in a very different way. And I hope that these 10 things that we talk about will feel congruent with the way that you define success, and certainly the way I define success. The first thing, I should say that all 10 of these things are things you've heard before. So there's a part of your mind that's going to go, yeah, what haven't I heard before? And I'd like to challenge you with, even that is an old energy. Because in the old energy, we used to study personal growth books and get all this information. We're living in a time now where we don't need more information. So everything I say, if you look at it from an informational lens, you might be like, I've already heard that before. Dr. Edith, tell me something new that I haven't heard. It's like, nope, I'm not going to tell you something new that you haven't heard. But have you embodied it as deeply and fully as you can? Even Olympic gold medal winners spend hours doing basic drills, right? A black belt karate champion still does some of the basic drills that a white belt does. But I'm asking you, can you go black belt on these things this year? That's what this is about. So yes, you've heard all of these things before, but let's look at these from a more mature lens, from a consciousness of, wow, if I fully embody this, what would be possible this year? So the first thing is simple, like take care of your health and physiology. Duh! Right? But this is actually really profound, because it begs the question, what is a human being? Who are we and what are we doing here? Why do we have these bodies? What is the technology of this body? People say you should take care of your health because your body's your temple. Okay. Well, what is a temple? A temple is actually a sacred technology. It has precise geometries associated with very precise vibrational frequencies, colors, sounds, geometric patterns of lights and frequencies. Is constructed in a very specific way to function energetically and frequency-wise to produce a certain result. So taking care of your body, your health, your physiology is an advanced technology. Your physical body is how your true essence can translate and transduce your soul's purpose into this physical time-space reality. And so if there's unhealthiness, distortion patterns, misalignments of energetic flows in your physiology, is going to contort and distort your ability to manifest your soul's deepest desires and goals and purpose into the physical reality. So that's what taking care of our health is all about. And because this is such a rapidly transformational year, this will become non-optional, because anything like weak links in the chain, so to speak, will crack a lot more this year. So if your health, your physiology, or well-being could be a weak link, I really encourage you to make that the number one priority this year. So please take a moment to consider any advice you have for yourself. And we don't have to be like, we can be loving and gentle and kind to ourselves, right? Like, we're also not in a rigid perfectionistic mind state. Are there some low-hanging fruit things that it's like, okay, just make sure I get this much sleep, drink the highest quality of high-frequency water, do a little barefoot on bare earth, make sure I get outside, get fresh air and sunshine on a regular basis. It doesn't have to be complicated, expensive things. In fact, many of you guys know my work from writing this book, Super Wellness, which is all about how actually some of the most potent and powerful self-care practices are the super simple, low-hanging fruit things that are almost so obvious that we forget to do them. So keep it simple also. Good. Number 2, which we really sat with during our meditation in the first half of today's gathering, is meditation as our perpetual natural default state. I love to ask this question, actually, when I'm at different gatherings and the word meditation, at parties, even like totally mainstream people, or they're downloading an app and like learning some mindfulness and some meditation. So I love to ask people, hey, what is your definition of meditation? Most people out there would say, look, well, it's a practice where I learn to let go of stressful thoughts, or I become more aware. It's some kind of a thing I do. Isn't it? That's what most people would say. Meditation is a thing that I do to de-stress myself, maybe. Well, actually, meditation is not a doing. Meditation is who and what we really are. Meditation is just our authentic self. So some people say, oh, I can never meditate. It's like, but you're such a beautiful, heartful, authentic being, and this person is so comfortable in their own skin, and they're so loving and kind, and they move through life with their authentic self. It's like, well, that person doesn't need to meditate. They're already in a perpetual meditative state, 24/7, 365, where somebody else is like, oh yeah, I've been meditating for 40 years. And it's like, well, and then you live life in a totally contorted, distorted way whenever you're not like seated in yogic position meditating. Who's more evolved here, right? So I would encourage all of us to consider meditation not as a thing that we do to de-stress ourselves from time to time, but rather it's just who and what we really are. When we're expressing ourselves as our true, natural, authentic self, expressing our true essence into life, natural and undistorted, that's it. You are meditation. And can we challenge ourselves in this year to live this state as our true self, 24/7, 365? So this meditation as something we do is only necessary if we leave this state to journey back to our authentic state. But could we cultivate a practice where we stop losing ourselves, so to speak? Stop letting the world jerk us around in these ways where we have to put on masks and contort and distort ourselves. Like, let's just not do that anymore. What do you guys think? Hear, hear, cheers. So who here is committed to this cultivation of meditation as a perpetual natural default state, 24/7, 365? Yes? Yeah, cheers. Okay, good. So this is number 2, and if this brings up certain insights for you, I encourage you to jot down a couple notes to self. Meditation as your perpetual natural default state. Related to that is that the world is going to be seemingly on the superficial levels of things. There's going to be further stirring to the surface, all the things, as you guys can see, all the things that 5 years, 10 years, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, many of us were labeled conspiracy theorists or crazy or whatever for asking some of those deeper questions. And now our mainstream friends and family, they're all kind of tapping into it now. So I guess on some level, there's temptation for us to be like, I told you so, I was right, la la la. So don't do that. Don't do that. Just allow things to stir to the surface and unfold how it needs to unfold. And there will be many different things that will suck our attention and asking us to get yanked into various distractions and agendas. And so many things will happen that it will be very tempting to get our attention fragmented in many different ways. So this is a year where we're going to be tested to like a PhD level mind mastery practice. And what we shared earlier about the order of creation, if we want to create a beautiful experience of this life, we tap into our true authentic self and our true heart's passions and desires. And we allow that to infuse our mind to inform where we focus our attention and intention. So attention and intention, that's the other thing that we will be asked to cultivate on a 24/7, 365 level of awareness. Where are we allowing our attention and intention to focus? And where are we getting yanked into other people's agenda? Again, I know you've heard this before, but this is going to be amplified to a whole other order of magnitude this year in the Fire Horse energy. So if you haven't mastered this, I'm sorry, it's going to be a very challenging year. But this is the year that you get to be tested in this way and really master this part of your inner cultivation. Your attention and your intention, your mind mastery is going to be hugely challenged, and you'll have the opportunity to hugely strengthen this aspect of your self-cultivation, because it's going to show you can get yanked into living somebody else's agenda and completely losing yourself. Or it becomes really obvious, like, oh, that's not my agenda. Like, that's not for me. Your yeses and nos will become really clear this year, if you allow it. And related to that is, in Qigong, we always say wherever your attention goes, your energy follows. Or wherever your attention goes, your energy goes. And where that energy goes, it grows. So attention, intention, and energy flow are actually like a contiguous thing. Not only that, this is the year that we become really aware of energy. Not only energy awareness, but these meditative practices where we have specific skills of cleaning energies, using the heart's fire, which can be amplified this year to disintegrate, incinerate energy patterns that don't serve us, to clean those up for good. That's the opportunity this year with the fire energy, that we can clean those up, use the fire to actually burn off the residues of old baggage that we don't need. And then to actually allow that new spaciousness to wield that energy through our attention and intention in very specific ways, based on the life that we want to create. So you've heard me share this before. Life is an energy game. Master your energy, master your attention, you master your life. And that's why our Thursday meditation gatherings is not called meditation. It's not called Thursday meditation practice with Dr. Edith. It's called Inner Energy Mastery Practice with Dr. Edith. Energy awareness, energy hygiene, and energy mastery. which are kind of like it flows naturally from the focus of our attention intention into energy awareness, into energy hygiene, and into energy mastery. So are you guys tracking that I'm calling these the major formulas for success, but this is really a formula for creation and manifestation in a precise and intentional way. So what advice do you have for yourself? And I know that your high selves are speaking through you right now. What advice is coming through specific to you and to your life? As we cultivate energy awareness, energy hygiene, energy mastery, attune to our heart's passions and desires, our quote-unquote intuition is going to skyrocket this year. And we're officially going to outgrow this idea of calling intuition some kind of a sixth sense. I mean, that whole model is going to just become, we're going to need new language to talk about it, right? We've been saying like, okay, a human being has 5 senses, but even from the conventional perspective, there's more than 5 senses. Like a totally conventional medical paradigm would say there's the 5 physical senses, but there's also proprioception, interoception, the vestibular sense, the sense of time. There's all these other senses that are like just 3D normal medical paradigm terminology. So this idea of 6th sense is really obsolete. But what is intuition? Intuition is also something that is multifaceted and quite nuanced. And many of you guys have found your way here because you were drawn to our work with children's blindfold perception. We have a really successful blindfold vision training program for kids and families. And our kids are showing us that their intuitive abilities just come on really naturally and strongly. And that's inspired all the moms and dads to also start playing, which is why we have adult blindfolded perception classes now that are also taking off in popularity. So if you guys are interested, you can go to the website blindfold.vision, blindfold.vision, and you'll be able to find all the information about that. But back to this idea of intuition. Many of us are wired differently to tap into this inner knowing sense. And maybe some of you have studied human design, which shows that depending on our human design, we have different superpower abilities to tap into our inner authority or inner knowing. But we all are human beings that are wired to have the capacity for intuitive touch and feeling and sensing, intuitive taste, intuitive smell, intuitive hearing, different ways of intuitive knowing, in addition to intuitive seeing. And because we've been working with kids and families and now adults in the blindfold vision, blindfold perception workshops, we're able to really understand much more deeply, in a way more mature way, how to activate subtle intuitive senses, the touch, the feeling, the sensing, the taste, the smell, the hearing, intuitive vision, all of that, one at a time. And what we're discovering is that many people, kids and adults alike, we have multiple of these that come naturally and others that don't come as naturally, but we can train for them. And gradually over time is like for example, in our blindfold vision classes, some of the kids are telling us like, oh, I'm trying to see, but I'm not really seeing. But somehow I can smell the color or I can feel the shape, right? All these other senses wake up. And then eventually with more practice, these other senses infuse into this inner knowing, which turns into visual experience. And then with further practice, they kind of like all blend together, like a synesthesia. So what we're finding is that as we activate these innate dormant abilities, at first it's like one at a time and it feels clunky and it's not that obvious, and then it becomes more and more obvious to the point where you can't even get it wrong, such as like we'll do these little fun games where we have a piece of paper and we listen for the sounds. We listen for the sounds. And then you'll contrast 2 different papers and you're like listening for this. You're not trying to look at it, you're just listening. And then it gets to a point where it's like, oh my God, it's so obvious. This one sounds totally different from this one. To the point where the person can be in the other side of the room waving a piece of paper. It's like, that's obviously blue. I didn't see the blue, but I heard the blue. That's obviously yellow. And then you practice that more and more and more, and you both hear it and see it at the same time. Or you smell it and see it at the same time. Or you smell it and hear it and see it at the same time. And then boom, 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 this dormant circuitry wakes up, wakes up, wakes up, and then it becomes a holistic, multi-dimensional experience of life that catapults us into a way more beautiful, nuanced, and literally more colorful experience of life. And you start to realize, like, the old way of experiencing life with just the physical regular five senses instead of the intuitive multidimensional senses, it's almost like the transition from black and white to color, right? Like, it's like a whole new paradigm of experiencing more aliveness. So I say that it's like we're getting de-zombified, and looking back on the old version of ourselves is like, I can't believe what a zombie I used to be. Now there's so much more aliveness and so much more sensitivity and sensibility that I can access. So this idea of intuition, we have up until now a very immature understanding of what intuition is, and we're going to have a lot more subtle nuances of what intuition actually is that we'll wake up to, and not just theoretically think about it, but embody it and experience these things directly in this upcoming year. And it's going to make for a far more beautiful experience of life. So cultivating our intuition, which of course has the benefit of tapping into our inner knowing and a lot more clarity and better communication and less confusion. Part of intuition, as we cultivate things like remote viewing abilities and so on, we start to realize that we can actually see into the past and see into the future. And so this also bleeds into the more non-linear experience of time that we've been talking about too. So our intuitive ability and our non-linear experience of time, that's all going to be part of this arising of our human experience that we'll tap into in this year, which will make for a way more fun experience of life. So to start tying this together, the order of creation that we've been talking about, and there's different ways that maybe this expresses itself in different ways for you, but I would say for me, how things actually gets created and manifested is this inner knowing and inner attunement and tapping into our truest, most authentic self, meditation as our default natural state. Then arises our heart's love and wisdom, our heart's passion and desire that we're always attuned to. This infuses our minds with focus, attention, and intention. It also infuses our emotional body with a feeling of enthusiasm. That emotion becomes energy and motion that kind of propels things forward. And we're also breathing this into our belly and embodying this so that we bring a certain quality of beingness and confidence into everything that we do. And then we got to do the thing. Right? So in New Agey circles, we're always like, la, 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 manifest the things, just to, visualize all day long. Well, at some point, you got to go do the thing. It's like that funny joke people say, like this guy prayed to win the lottery ticket, and then he finally dies and goes to the pearly gates and yells at God for not listening to his prayer. And God is like, well, why don't you at least go to the place and buy a lottery ticket, right? You got to take your body and actually take the action. So the quality of beingness into our doingness and actually take the action, right? So this is the year where we'll get masterful at linking up all these layers and levels. Maybe in the past, you've spent some time focusing on attuning to our intuitive wisdom, or, like listening to your heart. You practice that as a standalone. Mind mastery, mastering your attention and intention. You might have practiced that as a standalone. Working with your emotions. You might have practiced that as a standalone. Embodiment practices, somatic practices. You might have practiced that as a standalone. Yes? Yes, right? And then like personal growth stuff where she's like, you got to hustle, you got to do, you got a project plan, actually take action. You've probably done a bunch of that as a standalone. So the challenge for this year that is being issued for all of us is, can you link it all together seamlessly now in this kind of order? Incredible things are going to manifest for you this year. Like, look at the beautiful life you've already manifested by mastering each of these as separate standalones. What is the exponential synergistic effect that is going to ensue in your life as you integrate it all together in a harmonious, seamless, flowing system of how you do life this year? How exciting is that? So we're going to outgrow the trap of the old New Agey spirituality of like, everything is love and light and it's all about visualization and intention and wisdom. But where's the substance? Where's the action? We're also going to outgrow the success strategies of like tools, tactics, project management, hyper efficiency, all of that. Yeah, productivity tools. Those are also helpful, but they're very limited as a standalone. So what happens as we start to integrate it together? 2026 is the year of fierce wisdom and integrated action and exponential creativity all together. But it's not just about us. Because the world is changing so fast, that we'll also realize that many of you guys, maybe I'm speaking for myself, maybe I'm speaking for others of us in the house, in order to be an independent free thinker that doesn't get sucked into the mainstream kind of like over culture way of doing things, you've had to cultivate a kind of hyper independence, haven't you? Where it's like, okay, like whatever the mainstream is telling, I'm just gonna not do that. And that's a program that serves us until it becomes a limitation program at some point. So on some level, I may be speaking for myself to see if this resonates. It doesn't feel good to have this us versus them thinking. It's like, I'm a free thinker and those people are normies. I know that in this crowd, most of us have outgrown like the left versus right paradigm and so on. But like even these are my free thinker friends and these are my normie people. That doesn't feel that good either, right? So, and I'm not saying like throw away your discernment. You have your discernment, you have your wisdom, but this like I'm going through a process in my own life where I'm finding so much beauty in hanging out with quote unquote normies, and I realize that if I'm not bringing an antagonistic energy, they're very open to my weirdo ideas. Actually, I'm not getting any resistance. People are like, "What do you do?" I'm like, "Oh, I teach kids and adults how to see completely blindfolded." You're like, wow, that's so cool. Tell me more. And then I go into the whole thing about what intuition is, the clairaudience, clairsentience, clairvoyance, and all the clairs, and how that's going to integrate all of us into a telepathic society, and it's going to be such a more beautiful, peaceful world. And all these normie people are like, that's beautiful. Wow, how cool. I'm not getting any judgmentalness or weirdness telling people these things. And even things having to do with, distorted medical paradigms and how, like the conventional medical world has had all these incentive structures baked in to keep people sick and all this stuff. Like, I'm just noticing that the mainstream communities are very open to that if we don't bring an antagonistic energy into any of that stuff. So cultivating and healing our relationships and not othering people anymore. I think that's going to be a big theme this year, because as we grow and mature in our love, in our wisdom, it just doesn't feel good to other people anymore. And there's a lot of relationships that will get repaired this year, I feel. And ultimately, we can use relationships as a turbocharge of our personal and spiritual growth this year. Yeah, I'm seeing that is really like the PhD capstone of our inner work that is available. And on a one at a time level, as we heal our relationships, in every endeavor of life, our awareness is going to be, yes, I'm attuned to what works for me, what doesn't work for me. My inner yeses and nos are amplified and strengthened because my cultivation of my authentic self and my attunement to my inner knowing is so strong now that my yeses and nos are crystalline clear. And at the same time, it doesn't feel good to push people away to live in an energy of separation. So I'm also able to be empathetic and attuned to what works for the other person. So finding the win-win becomes our natural default state. And as we expand our awareness beyond myself and the other, there's also the greater community and the collective, what is for the highest good for all. Because as a soul, as an essence that is aware of ourselves, not just as this personality self embodied in this temporary human experience, we're also simultaneously aware of the much bigger picture at play. Who are we? What are we doing here in this life? What is a human being? Why did my soul choose to incarnate at this time? That is always like a flow of wisdom in the back, like flowing through you, flowing through you, flowing through you. So it's like watching a TV that has picture in picture. That's going to be our evolution now in this year. We're aware of my personality self and my high self. We're aware of self and other and the collective highest good. All of those data streams are flowing through you all the time. So it could get overwhelming or it could get integrated this year. Are you guys excited about that? Who are you as the kind of human that is perpetually in the flow state where you're aware of the self and other and the highest good at all times? And that Venn diagram of all of it like clicks and locks into place for you. And you live in this perpetual flow state where everything you do is attuned and aligned with the highest win-win-win that's possible. What a beautiful world we're going to manifest together. So on a high level, the theme of this year is like the integration of all these layers and levels. You've done the work in all these different arenas of your life, and it's all going to integrate together with the accelerant of the Fire Horse energy this year. And it's going to be the most beautiful outcomes that manifest out of this state. And then we're going to start metamorphosizing ourselves into the new human. Which means as a natural byproduct, we're already seeing in our Blindfold Vision kids classes this year compared to 2 years ago, the kids are doing incredible things in week 1 of the class that took until week 4 for the kids to activate into last year or 2 years ago. And then 2 years ago, very few of the adults are really feeling confident in tapping into blindfold vision, intuitive trainings. And now there's so much interest because we see the kids doing it. And we see my colleague Dahlia is working with these amazing blind adults that don't have physical eyeballs, and they're activating this capacity to use their mindset to navigate life beyond physical eyes, like walking around town and seeing the stores and stuff. So these abilities are going to get normalized more and more and more and more. So blindfold vision, blindfold perception, mindsight, telepathy, telekinesis, remote viewing experiences is going to get more and more normalized. Distance healing, apportation. At Dahlia's most recent workshop she did with another colleague, there was a guy who has been found to apport coins from thin air. And then he was just in the room learning mindsight, blindfold vision. And then a few other people started apporting things from thin air too. So we are get together in these communities and we exchange codes and we quicken each other's abilities to activate into these expansive abilities. And there's a natural synergistic effect, which is why I'm super excited about you guys coming to join us for Blindfold Vision trainings and all these gatherings and going to Confluence. I'm so excited to see many of you guys at Confluence this year. Whenever we gather in these ways, there's a natural exchange of codes that happens, and it quickens all of us. So each of us bring our gifts and abilities into these circles, and we quicken each other's ability to access these gifts. And so these supposedly weird phenomena of psi abilities is going to become very normalized in this upcoming year. So it's just some of, my inspiration of the kids, like doing blindfold perception, channeling light language, bending spoons, all this stuff just going to get more and more natural and more commonplace, and it's not going to be weird. And, forgive the misalignment of the slide. And then we're going to want to keep doing things together collaboratively. So this is related to point number 8 or 9, where we tap into magic and beauty in our own individual lives, and we're not going to want to do it alone. So as we outgrow the lone wolf mentality, each and every one of us yearning for community and collaboration. And what happens when you have a bunch of individuals that are attuned in this way that we're talking about, tapping into your individual creativity, fierce wisdom, integrated action, integrating all these dimensions and levels of your being, and your capacity to heal and navigate beautiful relationships one-on-one and in groups. What happens when people like this get together in community? It's a whole other synergistic exponential takeoff that is possible. So this is really the year of the true beginning of the new, what I call luminous civilization. It requires that each of us do the inner work that we've been doing for years and decades. Now this is the year we actually integrate and embody it properly and take action from this state. And then we get together, not just one-on-one, but in groups, and then communities and communities. What are the synergistic ripple effects that is going to ensue this year? So, yeah. Wizards and masters of the world unite. 2026 is the year that we integrated all together into exponential creativity, fierce wisdom, integrated action. I'm so excited. And to summarize the 10-part formula, just real briefly, look at all of these from a completely new lens now. Not just from like, I heard this before, but really there's a deep, profound inner technology and outer technology that is expressing itself through us this year. Number 1, our health, well-being, and physiology as a non-optional foundation. Number 2, meditation as our perpetual natural default state, because it is who and what we are. Meditation not as a thing that we do just to de-stress, but it's our natural default state because it is our true essence, our true authentic self. Energy awareness, energy hygiene, energy mastery, mastering our attention and intention, being really clear about eliminating distractions and whose agenda am I focusing on, whose life am I living and creating. Intuition, this idea of the sixth sense really is our first sense, is fundamental to who and what we really are, the attunement to our inner knowing. The fierce wisdom and integrated action, the bringing it all together. The impeccability in our relationships, the healing our relationships. And when we're so aware of the energy hygiene part, we're aware in the interpersonal relationship when the energy between each of us is flowing in a clean way. So it's a natural byproduct of the energy hygiene, energy awareness stuff, that we bring that awareness into our interpersonal relationships. And then naturally, we're attuned to the highest win-win-win, ourselves, others, and the highest good for all. The normalizing of these expansive, what used to be weird abilities, it won't be weird anymore. It'll be normalized and very natural. And then moving beyond just lone wolf self-responsibility into this exponential synergistic power of community. We move way past our hyper-independence because it doesn't feel good. We had to learn how to be loners so that we didn't get swept up in, distorted agendas. But now's the time that we can let go of that hyper-independence and lean on each other. Find other beings that have been cultivating themselves the way that you've been cultivating yourself. And together we build relationships, we build community, and we tap into this exponential synergistic power of all of us working together harmoniously. It's a way more beautiful world that we're birthing, and this is really the beginning of the new civilization that I believe many of us came here incarnated to experience in this lifetime. So that's it. If it feels supportive, I want to make sure that you guys are aware that every Thursday night we get together and cultivate practices. It's called Inner Energy Mastery. We do a little Qigong, breathing, attunement of our energies. If you can join live, you place the order basically. We have everybody place the order for me, and then I tune in, I get the right themes, and the meditation practices just gets channeled through our field in the most beautiful way. And they're all recorded, so there's like 200 recordings of all the past Thursday night gatherings that you can access when you join. We have a program called 18-Day Luminous Prosperity Immersion that you guys can access to if this is a theme that is alive in your life. And of course, we have our kids and adults blindfold perception training classes. There's a cycle of private lesson kids classes happening in March. And we have 2 adult workshops in March. We're going to have another adult workshop in May. So a lot of beautiful things to come. And I'm going to be at Confluence in April. So I hope to see some of you guys there. And yeah, that's it. You guys know how to keep in touch with me on Instagram, Telegram, on email, on my website. So I hope that this gathering has been inspiring and supportive for you in preparing for this new energy of 2026. May I call on a few of you guys? What were your biggest highlights from today's gathering? What were the big insights or aha moments that came through you? Maybe I can call in 5 or 6 friends and kind of use that as a concluding energy for our gathering. Chase, would you please share?
Thank you. That was amazing. It really resonated with me when you pointed out the us versus them mentality. That's something, and just like the they, who is the they that's poisoning our water, and or the normies. You know, it's we are all one, and like as the darkest dark is the lightest light, and sort of that idea of trying to bring it back into balance, but also just not isolate yourself in doing so. Or when you have that mentality, and it leads me to also the idea of not being a lone wolf anymore and building community and co-creation and collaboration. That was just 2 really powerful things for me, and it's like it's been something that I like hearing you say it out loud makes me believe it, and it was something I had been feeling cut off from for a while. So it's exciting to believe it and to visualize it. So thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. And Jim says the meditation was amazing and didn't feel 40 minutes. I appreciate that. Thank you, Jim. What about Rue? Would you like to share? What was your highlight from today?
I'd like to share that this is so exciting, and what came across for me as very strong is the meditation is about connecting with your authentic self. You know, I always saw it as just blackening out the world and just that total silence everywhere. This is really exciting for me because not only was I born in 1966, this is my year of the horse. This month is also my personal Saturn return, and I'm just going through all sorts of things. And I'm so happy to hear that we're finally coming out of that isolation state, because that's been the story for me for the past 5 years. It's like, I'm not relating, but I'm finally starting to see community and those who are like me and those who just aren't. And I'm connecting with everyone, even the quote unquote normies, in a heart sense, you know?
Yeah.
I can relate to you with love. And if I can't relate to you with love, then I can't relate to you at all. So it's been really expansive for me. And thank you. This was just amazing. I couldn't keep up with my note taking. And I'd love to see the PowerPoint, but someone said, you can always rewatch the recording, which I most likely will. And I really hope to see you and hug you at Confluence this year.
Yay, good. Yay. Speaking of confluence, can I call on Mike Holshoe? You brought some really good energy into our group and you were nodding enthusiastically. So I'd love to hear what were your big highlights from today.
Hi, Edith. Hi, everyone. Thank you for this space. Thank you for the way that you are such a pure conduit. Just the way that these messages flow out of you is really amazing. And I can feel how connected they are to at least truthfulness in me. So I appreciate that so much. I was by myself, which is kind of rare in this house. And so I was fully into the meditation, which felt amazing. And for whatever reason, these three major themes for this year really landed hard. Exponential creativity, fierce wisdom, and integrated action. And for me, very personally, just landed deeply because, they're all areas of my life that I've been feeling in some ways neglected and in some ways unseen and out of balance. And so really wonderful that those things came up. And then I just want to share, you had me in tears listening to you talk about your experience in Thailand. And just the fact that there were a handful of humans who would get together, who would take their own time to go to some land and be together to create a grid of coherence for the planet is just it's a really wonderful thing. And I'm just so grateful to be a part of a community of humans who would do something like that. So thank you for sharing that. And super psyched for Confluence. This is just it's a really great precursor, to be in a space with all of you. So love you so much, and I can't wait for that.
Yay, awesome. Thank you, thank you. Liz said, thank you for this gathering. Always an inspiring time. I appreciate the reminder of the harmony of wood snake to fire horse and using water and other elements and activities as resources. Great. I'm looking at the screen and I just love seeing your names because many of you guys are dear, dear friends that have had profound, life-changing insights through many of our other gatherings. Kimberly Cranford, can I call on you? What came through you in today's gathering?
Thank you, Edith. I'm so glad that can you hear me okay?
Yes.
I'm so happy to be here today. So many things came through, but I feel very inspired by this gathering to really encourage us to be in that loving, connected heart space, which is in such contradiction to, I think everything about this year and what you have has been downloaded through you is so very much the truth. And I think what we're being exposed to in the media at large is very much intentionally to get us away from that connectedness. And I just really hope that we can all tap into the truth of how connected we actually are, and that if we can maintain, like you said, a constant meditative state and connection with one another and love and truth, that there really is nothing to fear, and how beautiful it is to realize that we can connect with any other human. There's no need for the divisiveness and the us versus them. That's what inspired me the most. And so much more. It's difficult to put into words. It's just like you said, it's a being state of energetic resonance. Thank you so much.
Beautiful, beautiful. Kimberly's writing a book, so she's so articulate. I just love your way of putting things into words. Yeah.
Well, and speaking of that, I just moved into a new space, and so this cutting away of what no longer serves really resonated with me. And I feel like I'm finally coming into alignment with all of those different things that you talked about. And I'm really feeling like this is going to be the place where I can finally get that creative momentum going. So I think it's about to happen. There's been like trickles of it here and there, but my attention has been pulled in so many different directions. So it's, Edith, it's just always so amazing how the things that you discuss, I think, resonate with us all. It was as if you were talking to me personally. So it was really cool.
I appreciate that. And part of us doing the meditative practices in the beginning coheres all of our energy so that what speaks through me is what is wanting to be spoken into the field, you know? Yeah. So I appreciate that. Frizella said, I felt so grounded and calm and joyful, expanded and emotional. I love your voice and your frequency. Thank you for that. And I see Yelena has some thought bubbles brewing, and Shane seems to be back at a more stable connection. Yelena, would you share a little bit, and then we'll bounce back to Shane?
Yeah, I just wanted to say hello. Roy thinks it's so funny that Mom has a class today with you. So
oh,
he's
yay!
here. Roy, you want to say hi? No, there you go.
Hi,
well,
Roy.
Well, just enjoyed it so much. So thank you. This was really nice. And I can't believe the meditation was 40 minutes. I think somebody else said that too, because it just felt like a few minutes. I was actually had to look at the clock when you said that it was 40 minutes. So I think it just shows the power of rooting and really always coming back to ourselves. So thank you for that.
Beautiful. Thank you. Yelena's boy Roy is one of our superstar children of the Blindfold Vision training. He's doing all these inspiring things and showing us the new possibilities that is coming online for many of us. Thank you. Shane, would you share?
Yeah, so as you said, you tap into the field of everyone. So you very well spoken, like basically touched everything that I'm currently working with, processing, directing in my own life. So it was awesome. Those confirmations are always great. Yeah, and your story too, I agree. Like what was happening in the dark room. I watched one of the interviews with Jasmine and yourself, but when I heard that, I was like, man, I'm ready. I gotta go. I'm looking for a cabin. I'm gonna go get some blackout curtains and just do my own little retreat. It'd be great to do it in a group, but yeah, this is something I really want to experience. And then coming out of the lone wolf thing as well, that's been me since I was like 7. So, and I'm always working with everything too. I went to a healing school, right? The Barbara Brennan School of Healing, and I told them straight up when I went in there, I was like, I'm not here to work with individuals, and we're here to work with the whole planet, just work. So I like to go to the holistic level, directly with the planet, and then let that resonate outwards, and so it's really awesome hearing you guys. So I'm always, when my meditations, that's what always comes through. I always end up just like fields and just projecting it into the planet. I worked for Sony at one point when they launched these 3D TVs, and it was a trip because it wasn't 3D that came out of the TV. It was a screen that you looked into, so it looked like you were looking out a window. You could turn your head and like look over there. And I was into that concept, and I was like, wait a minute, this bubble, there's really no such thing as time, space, distance anyway. So the whole universe is right here in this bubble around me. So I can just work with absolutely anything in the universe, sitting right here without stretching my field, doing any of that kind of stuff, So anyways, so it was just cool to hear. But obviously you guys had a really amazing, profound experience when you all come together. And so for me too, it's just like, yeah, the whole lone wolf thing, I'm done. So it's just great to hear groups and you guys working together. And I look forward to working with everyone more in the future, and it's all coming together. So thank you, Edith, for mirroring all that and, and being here and doing that. Yep.
Thank you. Thank you. Via, did you want to share? I could see your thought bubbles emanating. Yes.
Oh, wow. So visible, huh? Well, yes. Thank you so much for so beautiful, like so eloquently put to like voicing what's happening and I'm working with, like most of you probably, right? Like I'm literally writing down for next year, coherence is the only strategy, right? So I love when you say that the state of flow is like, it's a perpetual default mode, right? So it's like resonates so much. And I also loved when you said that the sixth sense is going to be like the first sense. That went my like, yes. I also work with children. I'm a Mary Poppins / scientist in Seattle. with a bag full of magic toys. And then like what I say, like I teach them magic, or like I not even teach, but like I just remind them that they're magic. Right? So like love hearing that. And I am so excited to see you at the conference as well. And everyone who's going to the conference and have my mind blown more. So grateful for you, Dr. Edith.
Beautiful.
So much gratitude. Blessings to you all.
All right, my friends. Thank you for bringing beautiful, delightful energy of love and wisdom and all the goodness flowing through our field. Thank you for co-creating this field of energy with me. And I hope that you got everything that you came here for and more, and made this field that we created together be blessings upon blessings that keeps flowing throughout all of our lives for 2026 and beyond. Excited to see you guys at Confluence if you're going to be there. Excited to see you at the adult blindfold perception training, or at any of our kids trainings, or at Inner Energy Mastery. We're together, we're connected. I'm here for you, and I'm so grateful to be in community with you guys. Thank you, friends.
Thank you.
Thank you.